All right, live, going live, checking to see. Hello, is this on? Are we recording? Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. My name's Andy Zhu, host of Gen Z Rebuilds. Nice to see you all today. Thank you all for stopping by. If you guys haven't been here before, I talk about real estate, cryptocurrency, stocks, whatever you guys want. We talk about the future of money, how you guys can learn more about it, how we can get ahead, how we can promote your personal finances, right? So we can get forward into the future of the world, right? Gen Z rebuilding, right? So let's talk about what's been happening over the weekend. So obviously, the last time I checked in with you all, we had just left off on the note in the stock market, right? We had just left off the note in the stock market that we essentially had treasury bond yields, the 10-year treasury bond yields reaching the highest point that they had in the last, about a year and a half or so. So they had reached 1.7% plus, why it's like 1.74, 1.75% at the highest. And so we saw, along with that, a major pullback in stocks on Thursday and Friday, right? So we had that major pullback in stocks, and then today, what happened, right? Today on Monday, what happened in comparison to what happened on Thursday when we had a major pullback, right? Today on Monday, we had that 10-year treasury yield fall, right? It fell down almost a full, what's called basis points, 10 basis points. I'm sorry, 100 basis points. It almost fell a full percent, 0.1 percentage points to 1.65% or so. And then guess what happened? Tech stocks went up. Wow, it's a miracle when these. And I've been saying this here on this channel for the last couple of weeks. This is the number one thing that anybody needs to be monitoring when they're trying to figure out, hey, what is going to happen with the market? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to figure out for the future? Tampa Bay 94. I'm not trying to make this a politics chat. This is Baby Yoda 2020. All right. This is who we're supporting. Okay. So that's all. That's all I'm gonna get into for that. All right. Baby Yoda 2020. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, so that is that's essentially what we're trying to figure out, right? You're trying to figure out what you want to do for the marketplace, and you're trying to figure out what are you going to do, how are stocks going to go up and down, right? We're going to need to be continuing to monitor these 10-year treasury yields. And if you can stay on top of those, and make sure figuring out what's going on, you can trade up and down based on the fact and the things that are happening, like treasury bond auctions, like Federal Reserve comments, all these kind of things. These are the types of things that you need to be looking at, that you need to be protecting yourself with that sort of knowledge, so that you can be in the marketplace. Someone asked about Bitcoin, $300,000 by December. Pops Bills, is that Pops Bills? Yes, Pops Bills. So I'm not sure, and I think anyone who's throwing out price targets like that for Bitcoin, for all these other things, are playing on you a little bit, right? I think they are trying to get you to have a little bit of fear of missing out. They say you need to invest in Bitcoin today because it's going to have $300,000 by the end of the year. I'm not necessarily sure that's an accurate price target. I feel like it's going to take a lot for Bitcoin to 6x over this next year, right? From today to the end of the year. So that means what we're trying to have Bitcoin do, right? If Bitcoin is supposed to get to $300,000 by the end of today, right, to the end of the year, December 2021, right? That means essentially we have 9 months to do it. We need Bitcoin to gain $50,000 or so every month and a half. I think that the odds of that are fairly small. So I don't think the odds of that happening is going to be very, very high, right? And the problem with that is that, where are we getting the extra money to go into Bitcoin? And that's the biggest question. Where are we getting the extra money to go into Bitcoin? Because part of the reason why Bitcoin has gotten to the current price point it's at, right? Bitcoin has gotten to the current price point that it's at is because of institutional investments, right? So it's not because of me and you, retail traders, right? in fact, we don't have a lot of power in investing in something like Bitcoin because there are so many outside groups that have so much capital and they can move a lot of people. West Coast Diver, hey people, nice to see you, West Coast Diver. They can move a lot of the market, right? And so we have people like the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Now, this company called Grayscale, Elba Zavala's 23. Hello, nice to see you, Elba Zavala. So we have groups like the Grayscale Investment Trust, right? These guys are buying huge amounts of Bitcoin, of Ethereum, about a bunch of other cryptocurrencies. And anytime they try to start investing in a certain cryptocurrency, then that cryptocurrency pumps a lot because all of a sudden we have big money buying in. And that's what we would need for Bitcoin to get to something like a $300,000 point. I think, and I hate to throw out price targets, but I do think something like an $80,000 to $100,000 range is very reasonable by the end of the year. And that's because I do think the amount of institutional investment into a Bitcoin is going to be ramping up over the future, right? How do we know when they are buying, West Coast Diver? And what do I think about Basic Attention Coin? Buzzy, I want to talk about BAT in just a second. I love Basic Attention Token. And how do we know when they're buying? So Grayscale, as one of the big groups, they're essentially buying all the time. And you can go look up how often they're buying and how much they're buying. And they're essentially, what's going on right now is that almost all the new Bitcoin that's being mined, or a large majority of it, is being sold immediately. So there are different groups of people in the Bitcoin universe. Yeah, money is moving out of the market. That's why we're seeing some pressure, right? And I was trying to get there too. So let me make 2 points about that, West Coast Diver. Let's make 2 points about the Bitcoin scenario. So the 2 things about the Bitcoin scenario is that, one, we have a lot of miners, and those are the Bitcoin miners, and those are the guys with, the fancy computer rigs, and those are the guys who are, in all over the world who are actually producing new Bitcoin and as well as validating transactions. Remember, there's a limit of the amount of Bitcoins that exist, right? That can totally exist. Uni Chan says, hi, hello, Uni. Nice to see you. So there's a limit of total Bitcoins in the entire world that can exist, but we're not actually there yet, right? So the supply currently is actually increasing. And as we know, what happens when supply increases, right? On a supply and demand scale, the price will tend to go down as supply increases. Now, there is a hard cap of the amount of Bitcoin that exists, but for right now, supply is increasing. So as supply continues to increase from these miners are pretty much selling off all of their Bitcoin. And it's only because of institutional groups like Grayscale and, a Tesla or a MicroStrategy that makes one-off flash announcements, but as well as, we have Square and we have PayPal and potentially into the future MasterCard by the end of the year. If these companies are putting more and more money into it, that's what's going to sustain the price of Bitcoin. Trader Pokemaster, thank you for the presence, my friend. I appreciate you as always. So that's what 15, 16, 20 presents. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much. Hopefully this is helpful, guys. So that's why we're looking at the price of Bitcoin there, right? So there's going to be, as long as that institutional demand remains high, and I believe that it will, we saw a lot of, and especially if there's a correction, as we're seeing right now, and we're getting, and I'm transitioning into my part 2 of the topic. I know I ramble on a lot, but this is important stuff that I want to break it down, and this is why we have a more long form conversation here about it, right? Long form conversation about Bitcoin is that the second thing is that as money is moving in and out of the market, and as interest rates on the 10-year treasury yield are rising, right? This is putting pressure on tech stocks, right? This is putting pressure on tech stocks. That's why we're seeing tech stocks like Tesla, like all these future growth stocks sell off, right? That's what we're seeing. Every time the 10-year treasury yield goes up, we're seeing those sell off. We're also seeing some movement out of Bitcoin, right? Cryptoverine sending fire. Thank you, Cryptoverine. I appreciate you, my friend. Always love to see you here. That's why we're seeing people moving out of those things as well, right? Because, Bitcoin is kind of like a tech stock, right? Or in people's minds, it's more forward thinking. It's about the future, right? It's an asset that's, has more value into the future than it does today. At least the majority of people probably will think that, right? So that's why we're seeing pressure there. And the second thing about that is that we have seen a lot of institutional support, especially when Bitcoin, and we're going to look back at the February level, where there was a massive crash in Bitcoin price and it went down to what, like under 40,000 something? There was a huge amount of buying support at the 40,000 mark. So I wouldn't really be worried about the price of Bitcoin for a long term, because if we correct again from this 55 mark that we're at now to that 40 below 40,000 mark, what the F? Sup, buddy? Nice to see you, my friend. What the F? If we correct again to that point, right? If we correct again to that point, then we're probably going to see a lot of protection there. Puchila, more of a commodity than a security. I mean, yeah, I mean, like, it's not really a security, and I'm sure people are going to talk about Ripple for that reason, ask me about Ripple, but like, I mean, as it stands, what Bitcoin is it's an asset. It's a digital gold. That is what the value proposition of a Bitcoin is. It's virtually a gold right now. It's not necessarily something that's being used to facilitate exchange of money. It's really a store of value. That is what Bitcoin has become. And it's become that because people believe in it. And as we say on this channel, we talk about why money is a meme, right? Money is a meme because money only has value, just like a meme only has value because people believe in it and people care about it. Bitcoin has achieved meme status, but that meme status also has institutional investors throwing billions of dollars at it. So that's what allows us to potentially get in and make a lot of money on that there, right? So someone asked about basic attention coin, and a couple people asked me about SafeMoon as well. I do want to say I don't know anything about SafeMoon. I have heard some people in this chat have said it's a weird, there's something sketchy going on with it. I personally do not know any information about it, so I cannot tell you. But someone asked about basic attention coin. I do want to talk about basic attention coin because, and just as I said before, when we were looking at Grayscale, right? We were talking about Grayscale as being one of these big market makers, some of these people who really make sure that these currencies are supported. Recently, Basic Attention Token, which is a form of cryptocurrency that is used on the Brave browser. And what the Brave browser is an internet browser that essentially is trying to compete against Chrome and Firefox Internet Explorer. Right? It's trying to compete against these things. Trader Pokemaster, thank you for the presents, my friend. I appreciate you as always. They're trying to compete against all these other major browsers, against the other major tech companies, to give you a privacy-focused browser, which I think is a very good value proposition. This is I use Brave actually personally. So if you go to brave.com or brave.org, I don't remember, you can download their browser. And essentially, they have built-in privacy ad blockers that essentially block all the ads better than your AdBlock Pro or AdBlock Plus would on your Google Chrome. And they also, so they remove completely all ads, but what the value proposition and how they make money there, Bwizzy, you love Brave, yes, exactly. How they make money there is that they actually partner directly with other advertisers to show you ads directly. So here's the difference. Here's how an ad usually gets shown to you, right? You go to your website and then there's cookies everywhere, right? You log onto websites, it's like you have to say accept cookies, right? And then you're like, okay, I like cookies. Cookies sound good. So you just accept it and you click out of it. But then those cookies are following you around the page, right? And then they're tracking every single thing that you do. And then with all that information and data, they're selling it to Google ad services, right? And the vast majority of ads are selling selling to Google ad services. So they're making money off of your data, right? They're making money off of your data, and they show you all these ads that you don't want, and they're following you all around over the place. It kind of gives you a bad browsing experience sometimes. What the Brave browser does is that you can opt into seeing ads. And if you opt into seeing ads, they will show it, and it's not going to be obtrusive on the web page. It will just be a little pop-up thing. And then essentially, they will pay you every time you see an ad. Trader Pokemaster, thank you again, my friend. And I'm missing some of your guys' comments, I know. I'm going to try to come back to it, but I'm trying to focus on this while I'm in the groove, right? So I'll get back to your comments. I always do. So looking at these looking at Brave, right? So you can literally every time you see an ad, they can reward you. They'll give you part of the ad revenue that they charge the outside person. I believe it's 30%. So let's say they charge an outside person $1 to show you an ad. They'll give you 30 cents of that dollar to you. And obviously, it's not in dollars. The way they measure it is in basic attention token. So that's where we finally got back. That's the use of a basic attention token. It's for the Brave browser to facilitate their ad transfer. So you are actually getting paid, quote unquote, a small amount and getting your attention, basic attention token, right? Your attention is being rewarded. Hello, my friend. I'm just buzzed. Hello. Nice to see you. Appreciate you stopping by as always. So that's what basic attention token is doing. Shout out hello my friend. We'll shout out hello my friend. So we for basic attention token, right? So we obviously have a good use case, right? And for something like basic attention token, we have 25 million monthly active users on the Brave browser, which is a very good solid ecosystem. So I actually bought when I went into Brave, I actually bought some basic attention token because I'm like, I like this service, I like this product. Let me see what happens. Well, what happened is if you look at the price of basic attention token for a week ago versus now, right? If you look at it versus a week ago versus now, you actually can see the price went up 100%. Literally, it doubled in price pretty much. And the reason why is, as we're going back to what I was talking about at the start of the stream, is that Grayscale Investment Trust said, I'm going to start buying this thing. So now there's a floor of institutional demand for it. So they're going to be buying basic attention token on cycle, and they're putting millions of dollars into it. And that's what really turns a cryptocurrency from a niche product, and this is really what helps it, quote unquote, moon, is when it gets institutional acceptance, when it gets put into the Grayscale Investment Trust portfolio, when it gets put onto Coinbase, right? And it gets put onto Coinbase and it becomes something that you can buy there. I'm just buzz. Keep saying hello, my friend. Yeah, I say it all the time. So that's what we're going there. Party Mama asked, what do we do with basic attention tokens? So you can do a couple things with it. You can trade out of it, right? You can sell it. Trader Pokemaster. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So you can cash out of it when you're rewarded with it. You can cash out of it. You can just like take your money. But I think the biggest thing about it is that you can also keep it in the browser, and then it will automatically tip to your favorite content creators. And that's the cool thing about it, right? It's essentially giving you control of kind of where your ad revenue is going. So yeah, you can take those tokens and cash out your, $1 or so that you make from watching your ads. Or you can directly tip it to people who are accepting basic attention tokens. So it's really trying to bring that ad process and democratize that ad process and put the revenue and the amount of money and the value of your data in your hands, and trying to give it to and allow you to do with it what you see fit. OMG, today is Monday, Papacito, says Ruby. It is Monday. Feliz lunes, amigos. I'm just buzzed, says y'all need to listen to him. He knows what he's talking about. I don't know if I know what I'm talking about, but I do try to do a lot of research on these things that I want to be talking about that. So I'm going to try to go back for to some of the previous comments. So we'll get there. Where can you buy XRP in the US? Johnny Brown. I'm not sure. Actually, I don't know where you can buy XRP currently, but that's going to be a big discussion I can probably get into in a second, and it's why you might have seen Ripple rallied a lot, is because people are thinking that it's going to be relisted on a lot of US exchanges, right? It's been taken off a lot of US exchanges because of the lawsuit, and the SEC, well, I guess I'm just talking about it now. The SEC has had its lawsuit, and you've seen the hearings, and they have been absolute trash. They have not been able to defend their case, and essentially they admitted today, it was either today or yesterday, they admitted that that Ripple is not a security, essentially, and that anyone could trade it. Me and you, individual investors, could trade it, and the only people who would be liable for any damages would be the Ripple, the company, not owning XRP, the token, which is, Ripple and XRP. Ripple is the company that makes the token, right? And XRP is the token that is used by the company. So me and you, theoretically, according to what the SEC lawyer said to, just now, is that me and you can trade the token with no legal problems against us. So that gives it an opening to get relisted on something like a Coinbase, on something, I don't know if they're on Kraken. I would assume they're not on Binance US, So I would assume that it's hard to get to on these platforms, right? Because people were worried about the legality. People were later for the legality. Later, my friend, off the scrolling. See ya, I'm just buzzed. Thank you for stepping around. Okay, so let's get back. Let me get back to try to answer some of these questions. Government digital currencies next, West Coast Diver. That's something very interesting to talk about, is government digital currencies. I think in a nutshell, what these are, and they're called CBDC, central bank digital currencies, CBDC. Okay, that's a lot of the E sounding letters. CBDC, central bank digital currencies, and these things are coming. Like at some point, we are going to have more central bank digital currencies. I mean, we literally already had. I mean, and it was okay. I think the first one ever done was by Venezuela. And obviously, they issued some sort of cryptocurrency back in the day, or they were going to, and it was to save the Venezuelan peso from falling through the floor. It didn't stop that or help them at all. Okay, but anyway, the point is to say that these are coming, right? The central bank digital currencies are coming, and what they essentially are is that they would essentially just be blockchain versions of the US dollar, right? The Federal Reserve is studying it, and Jerome Powell has indicated that, they are studying it, and that at some point it would probably play some role in the future. And that's about as good as you're going to get from an old dude, an old banker dude sitting on the top. Like, if he says that at some point it might do something, that's probably about as good as you can get. And that's actually really encouraging news, because essentially, what it would do is that it would help be a part of the digital ecosystem of money, right? No cap inflationary, Damien Lafourcade. That's the question of CBDCs. It's like, how exactly are they going to cap it? Are they going to limit it? Are they going to have it inflationary? Are they going to have it just like an extension of the US dollar? And people don't know, right? We don't know if it for what it's going to be in the US. Countries in Europe are studying it. I know Ukraine is going pretty far on one, right? With cryptocurrencies work being centralized, Wizzy. So that's the thing, is that these essentially, there's a difference between the blockchain technology and crypto, right? And we always conflate the two, right? And this is the very important thing to understand. And this is why things like NFTs exist, right? We've talked about NFTs a few times here. I'm still trying to research more on NFTs. NFTs, for those who don't know, are non-fungible tokens. Essentially, they're digital collectibles. They've been all the rage lately, and people have been making a lot of money on it. Like someone sold essentially a digital NFT painting for what, $60-some million? And essentially, it's just in the blockchain technology, it was just a record saying, I own this painting, digital painting. And it sold for $60 million. It's just essentially, it's lines of code, y'all, that they bought for $60 million. So they bought these lines of code for $60 million, and that was that, right? A non-fungible token. Hey, buddy, TC Cooksey, hello, how you doing, my friend? So that's what we have for non-fungible tokens. So on the blockchain technology, where I'm going with this, on the blockchain technology, it doesn't have to be just cryptocurrency, right? It can be other products on the blockchain technology as well. Blockchain technology is essentially just used to verify transactions and make sure that we can send things around and have a history in a ledger, right? That's what the blockchain ledger is, that records every transaction that ever happens, right? So if we had that ledger, right, that's what the central banks could use that for. So yes, it wouldn't be decentralized. It would be very much centralized. But just like, we have Ripple and we have Stellar Lumens or whatever that we have to facilitate Trader Pokemaster. Thank you again, my friend. I'm glad I'm helping you out, my friend. I keep saying my friend. I need to add something new to my vocabulary. Just because it's not decentralized doesn't mean it still has value, right? As I was saying, Stellar Lumens and a Ripple, right? A Ripple and a Stellar Lumens, they can be facilitating money transactions across borders. That's what a central bank digital currency could do as well. Like when you guys send money on Venmo or if you have Zelle or Cash App, right? If you've ever sent money on there, then you're like, oh, the money went instantly. And then you don't really think about how hard it is to move money. But y'all, 10 years ago, it was impossible to move money that way. And the only reason it exists this way, because those guys who are sending around those amounts of money actually are like fronting the money up front. So like the money transfers instantly, essentially because they have money in their reserves to like send to other people, right? They're not actually sending the money instantly because like between bank accounts and stuff, it takes a long time. And that's why sometimes you try to go deposit money into a bank, even deposit a check, or move your money into a brokerage account or something. It takes a few days, right? Literal days. And this is what, 2021? It takes days to move the US dollar around, even when we are all digitalized, right? Digital, when we're all digital, right? So that is the value of a central bank digital currency, even if it's exact same as the dollar. And the US federal government controls everything. At the very least, it would be much easier to send money around, right? Because, essentially it could be just as fast and efficient as the blockchain technology itself, right? Eric Voorhees tie fiat to Anvil and ship it. so I'm not like I think that it's going to be happening, right? Because there's value for governments in it. But I certainly don't think that anyone should be like, oh, I want to invest in a central bank digital currency. Because at that point, yeah, you're just becoming another random. It's just the extension of the old fiat currencies. I also agree. Do you know the stock Amos is Sammy Smith? Only stock you had green in today. No, I do not, Sammy Smith. I do not know the stock Amos. So that's my 2 cents. I'm sorry, I don't know every single stock out there. I'm not a primarily like number one stock guy. So I try to keep up as much as I can, but believe it or not, there's a lot of them. So I do appreciate you throwing that on my radar. Will L2 chains be valuable or worth it after ETH goes live? Damien Lafourcade. I think that all these different chains and all these different systems that are trying to scale Ethereum at this current point, I think the value there so where we're going with this, Damien Lafourcade brought up kind of a more complicated question. And I'm not the biggest expert on exactly how this works. So there's a problem with Ethereum currently, right? People talk about Ethereum, right? That's the number 2 cryptocurrency, right? And the point of Ethereum, as opposed to a Bitcoin, is that you can build dApps, D-A-P-P-S, decentralized apps using Ethereum technology kind of as code. Right? So that's what Ethereum is meant to do. So the problem currently with Ethereum is that there are too many people using it. Actually, it is so popular that so many people are using it that the cost to use the Ethereum network has gone really high. Because Ethereum didn't ever think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have so many people using Ethereum. They didn't plan for this level of scale. So Ethereum 2.0 is essentially going to transition them from what is known as a proof of work to a proof of stake system. All that is to say is that it's going to be more efficient, right? And there's more transactions that are going to be done. And then the more transactions that can be done for more efficiently and more cheaper, that means more people can use the platform. Overall, it's going to be good for everybody, right? So there are a bunch of different things like side chains and roll-ups and all these different things, all these different projects right now on Ethereum to scale it that is not using directly Ethereum's technology. It's very complicated, and to be quite honest, I don't understand everything about it, right? But I do believe they're going to have value even after Ethereum 2.0 because they can be transitioned. A lot of them are like becoming bridges to other cryptocurrencies. That technology, that code, all the time and effort spent into that is going to be, rewarded with something. I don't think those are just going to go away. Coinbase IPO, good for a diversified portfolio. Trader Pokemaster. Trader Pokemaster, I have had people... hello, my friend. How about DOT, Jalby305? Let's talk about DOT. And I do want to answer Mountain Man's question really quick before I talk about Coinbase IPO. Yes, cryptocurrency is currently burning a lot of energy. It's burning a lot of fossil fuels and to build energy, and obviously it is hurting the environment. Absolutely, there's no question about it. Like, I am bullish on crypto. I love crypto, but I'm also, concerned about the future of our planet. It's also obviously a big problem. So, I mean, there's nothing really, unfortunately, the only solution to that problem is to make them more efficient, make these chains and make these platforms more efficient, as well as create more renewable energy. Because the demand for cryptocurrency is not going away, right? it's going to continue to increase. Only, as I've been saying here, only 25% of Americans own any form of cryptocurrency. As that number gets bigger, you're only going to see that a number of like the energy that they use and the pollution they create on all that kind of stuff. It's only going to get bigger, right? I'm back, Ruby. Welcome back. So with all that, it's only going to get bigger, right? So the only real hope is more renewable energy to solve that problem because it's not going to be going away. So if you're concerned about that environmental stuff, and that's why people are so big into renewable energy stocks and things like a Tesla, things like electric vehicles, things like battery stocks, right? Because those things are going to be huge. Sup, yo, says Slow Trolling. Sup, my friend. Willie has so much for green energy saving the planet. Yeah, we're behind. We're very much behind on that. Did my color change? Was that just me? Was it just on my phone? Yeah, we're behind. So that's what's going to have to happen. And eventually, I'm sure we're going to get there. We're just not there today, unfortunately. That's where we're using a lot of our demand. So I do want to talk about Coinbase IPO, right? Should you own Coinbase IPO if you want to be exposed to a diversified portfolio, if you want to be exposed to cryptocurrency? Yo, sup, Dowden Sturrock? What's up, Dowden Sturrock? Nice to see you. Should you own the Coinbase IPO, right? And I have two thoughts about Coinbase IPO, and this is how I approach most when I'm trying to talk to you all, and I want this to be instilled in your head, and this is how I want you guys to be thinking about every single one, right? You want to think about it, is it a moneymaker in the short term? Is there a momentum play? And is there a long-term play? What are those two things there, and how do I evaluate it, and which kind of thing am I looking at there, right? Trader Pokemaster, thank you again, my friend. So for the Coinbase IPO, right? What are people saying about the Coinbase IPO and for the long term? So for the long term, there's a lot of institutional investors that are looking at Coinbase, right? And for those who don't know, Coinbase is the largest cryptocurrency exchange program in the United States, right? It's a centralized program. You have to give your identification. I have a lot of money in Coinbase, right? Like, it is very easy to use, it's accessible, and a lot of people are using it. You want to be where the people are, right? I quote The Little Mermaid all the time. It's like, I want to be where the people are. Then that's where you want to be. And that's where the investors want to be too. So and we're looking here at the old dudes on Wall Street, right? Old dudes in suits and their bags of money. They don't understand cryptocurrency if it whacked them over their head, right? They literally could not understand a word of it. But they do understand that there has been a lot of money getting there. Is BitForex centralized? I'm not sure. They know there's been a lot of money into the space. And a lot of those guys are going to be wanting exposure to it. Like, if you have been seeing, I believe it was JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, they're starting to allow some portion of these guys advise high net worth individuals, and these high net worth individuals want some exposure to crypto. They're limiting it to like 1 or 2% of their portfolio, I believe, which is not very much, but they were wanting that exposure. And for those people who don't understand crypto at all, they sure as do understand stocks, right? And a Coinbase IPO, when it happens this year, it's going to be obviously a very good way for those people to get exposed to Bitcoin, right? Those are the way that those people are going to be exposed to Bitcoin. So that's what we're looking at for the Coinbase IPO. That's the long-term bullish perspective for Coinbase, is that obviously there's going to be a lot more people using it. As more people get into crypto, Coinbase is going to be doing better. My only problem for the long term is that it's probably overvalued. Like, I think they were saying already on the private market, people are saying Coinbase is valued at $80 billion. When it comes out, it's probably going to be worth like $100 billion. I do not know when it launches. I don't think they have a set date for it. I believe it's going to be second quarter or third quarter of this year, right? But what Willie Hess just said is when it hits the market, it's going to the moon. I definitely agree. Listen to Michael Saylor. He's on another dimension for BTC and institutional motivation. I'll look him up, Damien. That's a good resource. Thank you. So I do believe that in the short, so that's the long term. I believe that it's going to be probably a little overvalued, a little overhyped. But in the short term, the day of, I've been saying this before, these tech stocks, these meme stocks, and Bitcoin has meme energy, definitely has meme energy, right? They always pump day one. They always pump day one because people enlist and it's going to pump day one. And over time, usually we see a pullback from that. It happened to Roblox, right? Like I was telling people, like, and this is coming from a big expert day trader here. Let me tell you how much money I made on Roblox. I bought 2 shares of that thing at 68.50 because my limit order didn't fund when it first hit the market at 64.50, and I sold them at $70. So I made $3 on Roblox. So you're talking to a professional day trader here. Okay, I made $3 whole on Roblox. You're back. You don't want to miss you, Ruby. It's okay, Ruby. I'm always going to be here for you. Don't worry. What are we talking about? REO Speedwagon? We're talking about Roblox, right? Well, it aims for children, yes. But what I'm trying to say is that it's a tech stock IPO. It pumped to 74, fell back to 70, and then Kathy Wood bought a bunch of shares, pumped to 77 again. Now it's fallen back to 70 again. Like, it's had that. That's typically what happens. Look at Bumble, right? Pump day one has fallen, right? These tech stocks, and especially stocks with memes in it, tend to pump day one and then to go trend downward. And then after about a month or so, we can then reevaluate what probably the actual quote-unquote market valuation should be. And kids going back to school, less daily lose, trader Pokemaster. Yeah, well, the bullish case on Roblox, we've discussed that before. or the long-term case of Roblox, we've discussed that before. That wasn't really the point, right? The point is to say is that typically that happens. So I do expect, if you want to gamble some money, you are probably more likely than not, if you can buy in Coinbase at its initial IPO price and sell out the same day, you are more likely than not going to be rewarded and you can make a little bit of money there. But obviously that's very risky, and I don't do that very much, and I don't really advocate trying to trade off of that. I just did it myself on that to test that theory on Roblox, was like an example that I did it on. And I want to show you guys this, like, historically over the past several times that that's happened, that is what happens. It will pump and then it will fall, and then we're going to reevaluate after about a month, right? And then after about a month, after Coinbase comes out, then I would be like, okay, let's try to figure out the actual valuation there. Okay, so hopefully that helps. I'm still trying to catch up on these messages here. On a merger, what stock is better to one buying or getting bought? Sammy Smith 101. It completely depends on the stock, right? Completely depends on the stock. So wait for the dip long term on this one, you believe? Trader Pokemaster. Yeah, I think it's going to pump. I think it's going to dip after that, and then that's typically what we see. But I mean, over the long run, if you can buy Coinbase at a good valuation, it's going to be a good company, right? But I have a third point. You need to pay 30% on taxes, Ruby. Yeah, if you're day trading, absolutely. Juanita Mom says hi. Hello, Juanita Mom. The third point I want to have on the Coinbase IPO is that in terms of your exposure to Bitcoin, to exposure to cryptocurrency, I'd rather you own the cryptocurrency directly, because the bull case on Coinbase is obviously it's a good company. It's going to be making a lot of money as more people trading crypto. But obviously, the institutional investors are going to be buying that, so they're exposed to crypto, right? Some amount of the institutional investors that are not as sophisticated in the rest of the crypto market are going to be buying that, so they're exposed, right? For you personally, you can learn more. You can research about cryptocurrency. You can own that thing directly. I would much rather you, if you want to be exposed to the market, own it directly, right? Because otherwise, Coinbase at the end of the day is a company, right? A company can fail. Company can go bankrupt. A company can have a scandal. Company can be sued by the SEC, Ripple, right? So that's what can happen to a company. But the asset itself, Bitcoin itself, and Ethereum itself, the token, as long as people are using it, as long as people want it, even if Coinbase, the company, fails, right, you'll still own the Bitcoin. So that is your advantage over the institutional guys who can't get their head out of the 1950s, and you can be ahead of that. Michael Guidry, what's up, Andy? Hey, nice to see you, Michael Guidry. Right, I hear you. Have all this crypto in your portfolio just may help you balance your stock. Trader Pokemaster, yeah, I do agree with that. I just don't want you to be full into it as the only exposure that you have. Damien Lefercade, Coinbase should be safe after Mt. Gox, but still not your keys, not your crypto. Yeah, and Damien is bringing up the point that essentially when you're storing money on your cryptocurrency with a centralized institution like a Coinbase, it potentially could get hacked, right? And because otherwise you can store your cryptocurrency on like a hard drive or on your own private wallet like MetaMask or something. Trader Pokemaster, thank you, my friend, thank you. And so potentially a company storing your cryptocurrency on a centralized exchange could get hacked, right? And because technically the wallet is within them, they own it. I know you can transfer it out, but the point is being said is that like they have access to your database, right? They have access to your database. Greg Peroso, what do you mean own directly? Do you not own your crypto? Yes, you do. You do own your crypto on Coinbase. Yeah, you own it. You own it. I just meant, well, I'm talking versus the owning the IPO, owning the stock of Coinbase to have exposure. I'd rather you own your crypto directly as opposed to own the exposure through the stock, unless you have other crypto already as well and you're just trying to diversify your portfolio. Those things are different. Are you at least tipped for these gifts, Trader Pokemaster? I think so. I haven't honestly set up my account. It says that I get live gifts or something, but I honestly haven't really looked at it. I think I have to register with them and like do some sort of wallet thing verification. I'm not exactly sure. So hopefully you you're not throwing it down the drain. But I do appreciate you, my friend. So lol Gerd, I don't know, LOL Gerd, if you're still here, thoughts about Monero, private like cash, fungible, ASIC resistant. Haven't looked much into Monero, but I have had people talk to me about it. Thank you for leaving that comment there. James Dillard, how do I feel about scraping volatile ETFs for small gains on the daily? James Dillard, oh, that's something to ask other people. Scraping ETFs for the volatile gains and trying to like get like time the market essentially and like make money off of that. I think that's very difficult to do. You can definitely make money doing it if you know what you're doing, if you're an expert. But my advice to people trying to do that is to say, if you believe that you can go up against the guys on Wall Street, because the other guys that are doing it, right? The other guys that are doing, Grega Perosa, do I teach classes on this stuff? I mean, hopefully my explanation is good, right? No, this is what I'm doing. This is your class, Greg. So hopefully that's helpful. We're talking about, what was it I was talking about? Gosh. Day trading, right? This is what I always say to people is you can definitely make money day trading. There's no doubt about it, but you can make money doing anything, right? All the time and effort that you put into learning how to day trade effectively, you might be better spent putting that into learning a skill for yourself or getting a promotion at your job or getting an education, right? To get something like that, because you have to put in a lot of time. Sorry, your phone is stopped in all caps, not letting you have looked into Ebon. No, I have not, Aarombi. There's so many cryptocurrencies, but I appreciate the comment there. For day trading, right, you have to spend so much time and energy to get good at it. And unless you have like a script written by a guy at MIT, right? If you have one of those, then you're set. Because I know I went to Vanderbilt University. We had some smart CS people, computer science people, and I know a guy who wrote some code to like trade stocks, and he was printing money. He was printing money, literally printing money, doing something on there. I had no idea. I could not understand it. So if you're like that wicked smart, you can make it happen, right? But for us normal human beings, we have to spend a lot of time, have to spend a lot of energy on it, and you're always going to be competing against the guy on Wall Street who graduated from MIT or UC Berkeley or Stanford with 4 or 5 or 6 monitors and all those computer algorithms to run their trades for them, and they have access to Bloomberg Terminal, and they can call all the stockbrokers on the phone, have direct access to the people who can buy the trades faster than you. That is the difficulty of day trading, right? You will always be at a disadvantage. That doesn't mean you can't make money, but you will always be at a disadvantage, and it will take you a lot of time to get to a level of parity to other people that I usually say for the majority of people, it is not worth that amount of time, right? Anyone can do it. Yeah, but they say anyone can do it. But are you willing to put in like the 6 or 7 hours of study that it takes to do it? I'm not. I'm not. Dogecoin for president. Woo woo. Let's see. Let me try to come back. Let's see. Beer card, you need 25K capital to day trade. Yeah, you need a lot more money, right? Like, because otherwise, and like you can't even day trade, right, on your typical stock trading platforms like on a SoFi. Like if you're day trading, they'll lock you out, right? You have to have bucks. You have to have good monies to do that, because otherwise they'll literally like say you're day trading and we're going to suspend your account, right? 95% of the day traders don't make money. Michael Guidry. If that is the statistic, that is a lot. That is really high. Know anything about coding? Best place to learn. I'll pay if you have to. You have a MacBook, Trader Pokemaster. You already started on Solo Learn. Yeah, there's a lot of Google the stuff. When I say Google the stuff. I know there's some sort of academy that Google, I believe it was Google and Amazon or Microsoft or some of those companies put together, sponsored by them, to say these are the types of coding information that we would need to do, where you have the full stack and you have the front end and you have the back end and you have all that kind of stuff. It's like, that's where I would go to. Otherwise, I mean, you can go to Coursera, you can go to those places, but I know they put together some sort of platform and they're literally like, yo, if you guys can pass all this and do all this type of stuff, like we'll give you a job, like kind of thing. Like that's where you want to be looking at, because if you have those types of skills to get hired at Google, you can get hired anywhere. And everyone leave Robinhood and find a new favorite app to trade invest on. I agree, Trader Pokemaster, I agree. It's debatable, says Coursera. Yeah, Coursera is great too. I mean, there's Udemy, there's a lot of places, right? Trying to go back and go into caps. Mr. Sandman J, what about CCIV? I don't know. What has CCIV done recently? I've talked a lot about CCIV on this channel, y'all. CCIV has been, I've done a lot of explanations on CCIV. 26 bucks. Let's see. That is probably where it's going to be for a while. CCIV. And here's the reason why. And this is going to go back, and it's been a while since we probably covered it, so I don't feel bad covering it again. So CCIV, right, is Lucid Motors, right, is the company, the special purpose acquisition company that's buying Lucid Motors, which is an electric vehicle stock that's going to be competing with Tesla on the higher end. They're producing like $120,000 electric vehicle sedans, right? So on that end for CCIV, people are trying to value that company because they might be competitor to Tesla. Long story short is that there's been a wild ride in CCIV, as I know Ruby Ruby here knows. There's been a wild ride on CCIV where that stock pumped to 60 bucks and fell all the way down to at one point 20 bucks. And that was because essentially of a mismatch on valuations between the IPO and what between what the SPAC was saying and what they were actually ended up bringing to market. Essentially, they doubled the size of the valuation, which cut the price of the stock in half, right? So for CCIV, we essentially are at the same point as we were a month ago. And I think that it's over the long run, right? We're out of momentum swing territory on CCIV, except for the fact that obviously it trades up and down with Tesla and with the overall tech market, the growth market, right? They're also claiming their batteries will be hot items. Yeah, I mean, so over the long run, right? Over the long run, this is going to be probably a successful company. You know, they have a lot of marketing. You know, they're probably going to be behind. They're already behind on a lot of their production targets that they had already set since the beginning of the year. They're already behind. You know, they're going to have failures, just like Tesla had a lot of failures, right? But at the end of the day, I think this company is going to succeed. It's going to succeed because they're essentially, like 20% owned by Saudi Arabia's pension fund. And Saudi Arabia's pension fund has unlimited money. They're going to keep this company afloat. This company is not going under. So as long as they have money to keep going, right, they're eventually going to succeed. But in terms of for the stock price, you're not just worried about whether or not they succeed. You're worried about whether or not the stock is going to go up and you're going to be compensated for their success, right? So it's going to take a while. For CCIV and Lucid, like there's not really any amount of news, I think, until the first cars hit the market, that's going to push the stock up, I think, within the next couple of months. And except for the other stuff that trading up and down with Tesla and with tech stocks in general, right? That's really the only things that's going to be happening with CCIV there. So let's see. What about Rivian? Damien Lafroquet. I'm big onto Rivian, right? I honestly think Rivian is a great company, and currently, and obviously they're also behind on their production targets, but I just like their market attack better than what a Lucid is, and they're going to be valued about the same valuation. Lucid's valuation is about what investors are pricing it at, is about $50 billion right now. That's about what Rivian is rumored to be worth, according to its partnerships with all the legacy automakers that it has, right? They're rumored to be worth about $50 billion at the same market cap or at the same valuation. And what I like about Rivian, if they can actually deliver their cars, right? If they can actually deliver their trucks, and obviously they're also not public, if they can actually deliver their trucks, I like their company better because I believe that a company like Rivian that's selling electric vehicles, selling electric trucks and SUVs is targeting a segment of the market that Tesla is not already in. And Tesla's Cybertruck probably won't come out till next year. And Rivian's truck is supposed to come out later this year. So they should be ahead of the market. And that's where you want to be. You want to be in the market that Tesla is not in, because Tesla I think, will kind of, make it very hard for Lucid to succeed. And because it's hard to compete when Tesla already has a wide advantage, they kind of have a moat, is what is known as a moat, right? Ahead of other companies like Lucid, right? So for a Rivian that is coming in on what is known as a blue ocean, and these are all things that just come from studying businesses. A blue ocean means an untapped territory, right? You want to be swimming when you're looking at oceans, right? There's a blue ocean and a red ocean, right? Blue ocean and a red ocean. Blue ocean is an ocean, and it's wide open. There's nobody else in sight, and you're the only shark in the water, right? You're the only fish in the water. You're not going to get eaten by anybody else, and then you have all the ocean to yourself, and you're going to make a lot of money. And if you're the first to market with your trucks, like a Rivian would be, hopefully, then you're going to do well, right? A red ocean, on the other hand, is one where you have a bunch of sharks in the water. Everyone's chomping at each other. Everyone's bleeding out because there's a lot of competition, right? And that's what I don't want. That's not what I'm looking for in my stocks. Our estimated Tesla is going to cost $3,000 to $4,000 in 2025. Yeah, I mean, good old Kathy Wood. She's big on them Tesla stocks. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that, but they potentially are undervaluing the market right now. I think they are potentially undervaluing the benefit of Tesla as a battery company rather than a car company. Because everyone's talking about cars, EV, autonomous driving, especially, and they're looking at the autonomous taxi fleet and all that kind of stuff. I think the battery part of Tesla is way cooler and way actually more important, because that is what allows the cars to do. Kathy. Who actually has to say on exact valuation is not always exact, as you see in Trader Poker Master. Yeah, you're right. That's why it's dangerous. That's why investing in these stocks at this point so far out, relying on growth stocks, relying on these tech stocks that are going to be about what the future is going to look like, right? Tesla is going to have it's going to be a lot more valuable company when in 2035, when we ban, all sales of new industrial internal combustion engine gas-powered cars, right? But that's 14 years from now. That's a long time. That's a long time away. So, and thank you, Trader Pokemaster. Again, thank you. Let me try to catch back up to a few of the comments. So Jason Rod 6, I don't know if you're still here. You asked me about Polkadot, and Jalby 305. You also talked about Polkadot. I do want to bring up Polkadot really quickly because you guys brought it up. I do like Polkadot a lot. And Polkadot and Cardano, you want the Tesla truck, Ruby? I just want an electric vehicle truck, y'all. I got a 1995 Dodge Ram. This thing is a gas guzzler, but I bought it for $1,000, and I'm a cheap guy, so I don't want to spend a lot of money. So I'm not getting one of them until I buy all my cars used. So I have to wait for it to come out, and then I have to wait 3 or 4 years for it to become used. So I'm sad. I'm not going to get an electric truck for a while, but I'm stuck driving my 95 Dodge Ram with 200,000 miles. Still here. Great. So I caught up. See, y'all thinking I'm never going to catch up to these comments. I do try to get back to them. So for Polkadot, you can only use Coinbase living in New York. Yeah, I didn't realize, New York has so many restrictions there. Ledger Nano or SRX, EasySat, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about Nano. So let's talk about those, about Polkadot real quick. So Polkadot, for those who don't know, is known as a potential Ethereum replacement. So we talked earlier about how Ethereum, as the cryptocurrency, right, is meant to be promoting decentralized apps and using, you look into No, slow trolling. There's a lot. I had a really busy weekend. and I'm gonna make excuses. I made a couple offers on a couple properties. I had to go fix something on my roof for my house, and I was up there, and then it made me nervous, and I had to like glue things down with cement. Anyway, the point being said is that I was supposed to do a lot of research this weekend. I didn't end up doing it. I didn't end up doing it. Anyway, the point is back for Polkadot and Polkadot. Compared to Ethereum, right, is that it's supposed to be decentralized apps. It's supposed to be like coding that you can build on a bunch of different computers, right? For Polkadot, it's supposed to help replace what some of Ethereum is doing, because what its unique scaling solution, right, and all these replacements for Ethereum, Cardano being another one, all these replacements for Ethereum have to be more scalable than Ethereum. The goal is to produce essentially a better technology, a better product that can be more accessible and easier to use and not be as costly as Ethereum, right? Where can you read the information on crypto that I have, LOL? Trader Pokemaster, all I really read is like, I read the coin market cap like stuff, and I go to I do watch a lot of this guy's channel. His name is Coin Bureau. I like his videos a lot. There are a couple other YouTube guys out there, but I feel like they're always selling me stuff. I feel like Coin Bureau is a little bit less salesmanly to me, so I do watch a lot of his videos as well. So for Ethereum, I'm sorry, for Polkadot, for Cardano, what the thing is about Polkadot is that their unique scaling solution is something called a parachain ad. And I'm gonna butcher the explanation of this, but essentially, you have a normal blockchain, right? That's your central blockchain. But then you can have like linked to it a bunch of other separate blockchains that like are linked somehow through a line of code to the main one, that it gets verified on the main one, but you can essentially offload a lot of the other work into these other side chains, these parachains, right? And so the idea behind a Polkadot is that they can have, instead of like initial coin offerings, an ICO, when a new coin is launched, they can have initial parachain offerings that are essentially, different products based off of the Polkadot ecosystem, and that they're connected, right? And they're connected, and they're not congesting the main line. And essentially, think about it this way. The way I understand it, as someone very dumb that doesn't understand a lot about cryptocurrency, or at least the actual code behind it, is that why Kusama exploded? Yes. And we can talk about what Kusama is just a second. So the way I understand it as someone very dumb, you have a big highway, right? And it has 4 lanes on each side, and you have a lot of cars going up and down. But even if at some point, that highway with four lanes on each side, if you put too many cars in there, it's still gonna get congested, no matter how fast you can go on the highway. No, even if you can go 100 miles an hour, if you just have too many cars on there, eventually they're gonna slow down and like hit each other, and then you're gonna have traffic jams and all that kind of stuff. So the idea is to say, instead of this big highway that we're all forced to go on, like Ethereum is, like Polkadot is allowing you to kind of have these side parallel little small roads that connect back to the main highway, but also allow you to offload a lot of your traffic, right? Very, very basically, kind of, it's not exactly how it works, but that's a very basic way to understand it, right? LA traffic, exactly, yeah. So anyway, Kusama asked about Damien Lafourcade. Kusama is Polkadot's essentially canary in the coal mine experiment thing, where essentially they're training a lot of their new technology on Kusama before bringing it to Polkadot. And that's why, as Polkadot has rallied recently, Kusama has also rallied a lot, and people have made a lot of money in Kusama. I personally didn't own any of it, but I have been reading that it was going to pump, and it did pump a lot. Lateral fire hose after the main fire hose. You're a firefighter, Jason Rod. Exactly. There you go. Right? Because otherwise, you have to put so much pressure in that hose, right, in the mainstream, and it becomes inefficient. You'd rather have separate hoses coming off to allow that thing to actually have more pressure, because otherwise you're like still getting bottlenecked at the end of the day, right? The one bottleneck is going to hurt you more rather than if you separate it out, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So we went back. We're going through the comments. You bought Square for crypto. You might buy some Coinbase Party Mama. Okay, good for you. So many ETFs sitting at SEC for review. Any chance it will happen this year? A lot of instant demand, Damien Lafricade. If those Bitcoin ETFs, and what that is an exchange traded fund, right? ETFs. Essentially, there are ETFs currently in Canada to like buy Bitcoin. And what an ETF would be doing is it would be required to own Bitcoin, right? And then be exposed to it that way. And then you could own the ETF and own a stock rather than actually owning the Bitcoin. What these Bitcoin ETFs would be doing is, force having more institutional demand. I don't think it's happening this year. I think the SEC has a lot of other things on their plate. Also having to deal with a lot of stuff that the Fed is putting out, and they're having to step in and make sure like there's nothing crazy going on with a bunch of other stuff they have to audit. I think that it's probably not going to happen this year. Hex asked Dan CD, and then Papa Joe talked about OpenSea. I don't know about OpenSea and Hex or Loopering. Y'all talking about a lot of a lot of different things. I'm not an expert on every single one. I take them one coin at a time. I'm trying to add to my arsenal one coin at a time. So we'll get there. By the end of the year, we'll get there. How do I feel about NDM nano-dimension stock, a DCAM spec? I don't know anything about that either. I tried to write these down, y'all. Loopring, NNDM, all these other things to try to have in my running list of things that I have to look up. And VeChain, same thing, my friend. Same thing. I'm not there yet for you. And I'm sorry to sit here and be like, I don't know anything. But that's something I want to be always upfront about and transparent with. When I don't know something, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you every single time so that I'm not, BSing you, that I'm not bullshitting you, right? Because there's a lot of people who will get up there and will say just whatever comes to mind. Trader Bookie Master. Thank you again, my friend. And that's just not going to be me. I'm always going to tell you what I know and what I don't know. I'm only human, man. Thank you. You heard Gemini is going to have 5 different coins available to buy. That's pretty cool, Ruby. That's and those are probably going to have pumps there. Appreciate your honesty, DCAM spec. Thank you. Hex is like a blockchain CD that pays 40% for your stake, Dan CD. So a lot of these staking, and I really want to get into staking. That's what I'm saying. I understand staking, and this comes from me being a very conservative investor. I have to know a lot about it before I'm comfortable talking about it, researching it, investing in myself, and then also explaining it to you guys. So I've been looking into a lot of the staking stuff for a while. Papa Joe, what I like about you, thanks, boss. That's what I've been looking into staking for a while, and what staking is essentially, here's how you explain staking. So when you can go in decentralized finance, right? The idea of decentralized finance is that I can lend to you, you can lend to me, we can exchange money between ourselves. We don't need a middleman bank who's making a lot of money off of us, right? Sounds pretty good. When you stake your coin, you're essentially putting it into a pool of liquidity, right? So let's say, okay, I have a bunch of almonds here. So we're about to do some visual representations. Okay, so I have a bunch of almonds here, and these are the pool of liquidity. I hope you are not allergic to almonds. So this is the pool of liquidity. So the more almonds we have in the pool, right? The more almonds we have in the pool when I'm staking, when I'm dedicating my money to the pool, the more money can flow around easily, and you can get rewarded for having your almonds in the pool. Because when your almond is staked in the pool, then because it's going to be essentially going around and paying for other people's fees and doing all this other kind of stuff. And so when somebody else wants to make a loan, they're going to be taking your almond, right? And you staked it, right? You staked it. So someone can potentially be borrowing your almond essentially for an interest fee, and then you're making money off of that, right? So essentially, you're giving people a lot of money, and a lot of staking programs too. A lot of decentralized finance programs allow you to even, if you deposit, let's say you deposit 1 almond, right? It will allow you oftentimes to immediately take. Love that it takes you 15 minutes to drink H2O. I talk a lot and I need a lot of water. So a lot of a lot of decentralized finance pools will allow, if you give them one almond, they will allow you to take, okay? Oh, I dropped it. Here, I'm trying to make a point. They'll allow you to take half an almond back, okay? They'll allow you to loan your, like, essentially what you're doing is called overstaking or oversubscribing, so that you can put an almond into the pool and you can actually borrow half an almond back, right? You can borrow less than the amount of money you put in. And your question might be, why would I ever borrow, money when I have an amount of money in the pool already? Like, why wouldn't I just spend that money? The idea is that when you can have your money staked, you can be earning interest rate on that, then you can be borrowing your money back and then investing it in something else, right? Investing it in a business, investing in another opportunity, and then paying a lower interest rate, hopefully, and then making money on the difference, right? And that's what you can do, right? Similar to secured credit card. Yeah, kind of. So the idea is you're oversubscribed for a secured credit card, right? You put down more money than your credit limit actually is. And that's how they make sure these decentralized finance pools actually work and they don't run out of money. Because unlike a bank, right? Unlike a bank that if it goes under, it has FDIC insurance and they can get bailed out by the federal government. The federal government will give you your money back and give the bank the money back. This is decentralized. There is no big bank to bail you out. So that's how they make sure there's always enough almonds in the pool for everyone to go around and everyone to crunch. Right? So hopefully you're not allergic to almonds because it can make you a lot of money. But I haven't done it myself, but I am big into staking. I mean, you can make a lot of money. A lot of people made a lot of money on that, especially last year. I don't know if that helped at all, any sort of explanation from you guys. But the almonds taste good. So, I'm going to drink some water here. Dalton Sturrock says, yo, sup. That was like an hour ago, but I don't think I said hello to you, so I say yo, sup. Let's see. Trying to go back to these comments. How much do you gotta invest? How much would a good amount be? I don't know if there's a minimum. Do I have a YouTube channel so you can watch and learn at a slower pace, Poppy Joe? Yes, I do. I record all of these TikTok videos and I'm posting them to my YouTube channel, which my profile link, it's at Gen Z Rebuilds is my YouTube channel name. So I'm all these things in case you miss one, I record them and I put them on my YouTube channel. So if you want to go subscribe to me, I only have like 180 subs. So you'd be one of my first 200. I appreciate you. You got to research that more. Yeah, Trader Pokemon Master. I'm not sure if there's a minimum or not on a lot of these platforms, but you can make a lot of money. Like that's why we were talking about before. People are making 40% APR on different staking platforms. I saw on Uniswap and SushiSwap and all these different swap platforms. You can make, there's some protocols that you're making 100% APR on, or APY rather, APY, which is crazy. Imagine doubling your money every year. And obviously those things are the most risky. Tamo Tam, why is everything going down? Thank you guys for subscribing. I appreciate y'all. Tamo Tam, why is everything going down? This is something I've been trying to explain to people for a while now, is that a lot of things are going down. Key Crew sub to YouTube. Oh, thank you guys. A lot of these places are going down. A lot of the stocks, especially the tech stocks, the one that we like to talk about online, that everyone wants to discuss. A lot of the stocks are going down because of the 10-year treasury yield. 10-year treasury yield is your friend and your enemy, right? When the 10-year treasury yield goes down, values of stocks go up, especially tech stocks. And as the 10-year treasury yield goes up, right, values of tech stocks go down. And why is that the case? The higher the yield is on the 10-year treasury yield, which is a bond, okay? A bond is essentially just a note from the government saying, if you give me, the government, money, I will pay you, the investor, a percentage return on your money. So a 10-year treasury yield, which at 1.7%, which is what it just hit, the 10-year treasury yield just hit 1.7%, which is why a lot of stocks fell, is because it means that I, as the government, I'm going to pay you 1.7% on your money every single year. So last year, that might not seem like a lot of money, but the thing is that last year, during the coronavirus crash, the 10-year treasury yield was 0.5%. Literally 0.5%, like something stupid low, right? So now the treasury yield has almost tripled since it did last year. And that's putting big downward pressure on the valuations of a lot of tech companies. And the reason is that as the interest rate, you can think it kind of like interest rate. It's not the same as government interest rates from the bank, but you can kind of think it as an interest rate. As the interest rate on the 10-year treasury yield goes higher, as that yield goes higher, money is more expensive. It costs them more money to hold on, be waiting for the future. It's kind of complicated to explain. When you own a stock, you are buying a stock for the revenues that it's going to produce in the future, right? Because when you buy a stock, you're technically owning a portion of that company, right? And the money that the company made in the past, when you bought the stock, before you bought the stock, doesn't matter, right? Like you're not entitled to any portion of the company that happened in the past, right? So when you buy a stock, you're entitled to whatever that portion of the investment is. Like if there's 1 billion shares, technically you're entitled to 1/1000th of the stock's profits into the future, technically. And it doesn't always work out that way because of dividends and how they choose to do that. But that's technically what you're doing. So into the future, you're buying valuations and money and the cash flow of that company into the future. So as 10-year treasury yields are going up from 0.5 percentage point to 1.7 percentage point, all of a sudden your money to hold on waiting for the future costs you 3 times as much as it did last year. Because when think about it this way, when you have $100 million and you're putting it in 10-year treasury yields, you're not going to make any money putting it in 10-year treasury yields. You're going to lose money to inflation, right? Because it's less than the 2% inflation. You're only making 0.5% return on your money, right? So you might as well invest in stocks that are catered towards the future, because the money you're making every year in terms of a difference, it's virtually none anyway. But as that interest rates goes higher, it costs you more to hold on to that money and wait for future earnings. So things like tech companies, like a Tesla, like these other forward-thinking electric vehicle companies, things like these marijuana companies a lot of the time, are going to be hit hard, right? They're going to be not as valuable because tech companies and growth companies in general tend to be looking towards the future. They're going to be more valuable 10 years from now than they are today. That's why you've been seeing a lot of pressure. So as long as there's pressure on the 10-year treasury yield to keep going up, and it's been going up because people are worried about inflation. Trader Pokemaster, again, my friend, thank you, sir. As long as that keeps going up, you're going to continue to see a lot of downward pressure on stocks, right? Today, specifically, actually, the 10-year treasury yield fell. So you've been seeing a lot of better for a lot of stocks, right? Especially tech. So that is what's happening there. Hopefully that makes sense. I've said it a couple times here, but I think that was maybe a little bit more of a thorough explanation. I did one a few days ago, but unfortunately my recording for my YouTube channel was lost. So I had to do it again for you all. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up for these comments. See if I can get to any here. Let's see. Leave Robinhood, batteries, Tesla's goal. I think I touched on most of the comments. So believe it or not, y'all, we caught up here. Crypto is down so bad. Yeah, Ruby, I know, it's very sad. Let's see. Hex, yeah. What do I think about VeChain? Someone talked about it. Let's see. What do you got to invest? You're the 180th sub, Roy 6482. Thank you, my friend. Roy, I appreciate you, my friend. Trader Pokemaster, your name is Chad. By the way, you probably won't remember, but just saying hello properly, Chad. I'll call you Chad. No problem. You'll have to remind me. But I'll try to work on that, right? If people want to tell me their names and they're like here a lot, like I'll try to remember your name, like for sure. Dan CD said, you made that analogy so you could eat in front of us without appearing to be rude. Ah, you caught me. Those were home-baked almonds, by the way. Almonds. There was home-baked almonds. Tasted really good. Crispy. Anyway. Upriver Studios is Elizabeth? Okay. Let me try to put it into my memory bank. Y'all are gonna have to remind me. Y'all are gonna have to remind me, but I'm gonna try, right? Anyway, let's see. My video here has like 10 minutes left. So if we got 10 minutes and more questions that I'm here to answer for you all, I think I answered most of the comments that were in the past. So whatever you guys got for me, we can talk about. Look what you started. Yeah, I appreciate you, chat. I'm still gonna probably read your profile name and then say your name. What's your name? Ruby Maleficent? I don't know, Ruby. You tell me. I can take a guess. I can take a guess. Fundrise? Oh, Trader Pokemaster. Let's talk about Fundrise. I like Fundrise. HIMX, any thoughts, any game? I mean, it's going to my big book here of all the stocks in the world that everyone has ever told me to look at. So I have a big list. We can talk about Fundrise. Fundrise was first. Ruby, you said go? I said your name's Ruby. It's gotta be. Right? It has to be. That's what I would guess. Anyway, Fundrise, for those who don't know, and I think Fundrise is a great, yeah, it's Ruby, see. So for those who don't know, Fundrise is a way for you to invest in real estate for as little as $1,000. PLTE, says Christian. I don't know what PLTE is, Christian. Oh, Palantir, that's very different. We can talk about Palantir very briefly. But Fundrise is a way for you to invest in real estate for as little as $1,000. Essentially, what you're doing is investing in something called crowdsourcing real estate, crowdfunding real estate. And think of it this way: when you guys go see, a GoFundMe for someone who broke their leg and they're like, I need to raise money, or you see a Kickstarter for some sort of product, and they're like, I want to raise $1 million to fund the product. Crowdfunding is the exact same, but to own a building. So essentially, it's a bunch of people throwing $1,000 in to buy like $1 million building. Can we invest with you $1,000, Ruby? Ruby, I appreciate you. If you really wanted to, we do take investments into our real estate development company. That's what I do for a living, is real estate development. It's investwithhamilton.com, like Hamilton, like Alexander Hamilton, kind of Hamilton. So that's, if you want to go to there and like fill out the form, you're more than welcome to. Any trips for real estate in Puerto Rico, Freddie Mercury? Puerto Rico is a very different market than the mainland US. And my problem with Puerto Rico, and I'm going to go back to Fundrise real quick, but I do want to answer this. Problem with Puerto Rico is that obviously climate change and flooding and hurricane and stuff is going to make it very difficult to understand. I would make if I'm buying real estate in Puerto Rico, I need to make sure like I have a really solid constructed building. Like that would be my number one priority, is making sure that like I can survive a hurricane, I can survive flooding, right? I can survive, and these things aren't going to hurt me, because I don't know how flood insurance works in Puerto Rico. I don't know if it is insured by FEMA or insured by the if the U.S. federal flood insurance reaches to Puerto Rico or not, because it is a territory, right? Anyway, the point of Fundrise is to say that everyone chips in, let's say everyone chips in $1,000 to buy a building, and then you can get into buying real estate very easily. And I do think, so unless you want to be investing in real estate in your local community, which I also very heavily recommend, investing in something like Fundrise, and you can go to fundrise.com to do it, is very an easy way for you to get started learning about how do real estate investments usually work, right? And because you'll put $1,000 in, and then they'll give you distributions based off your proportion of the building that you own. And they'll essentially be like, okay, this year you got 10% return on your money, and then also the property appreciated 2 or 3%. And then they'll give you information. This is what we did. We upgraded the bathrooms, and we spent this amount of money, and then we upgraded the groundskeeping, and then we change the management. Ruby, thank you for the fire. Amor, thank you. And then we did all these optimizations to the property, and that allows you to get a basic understanding of how people look at real estate investing from a professional level, right? From a professional level, and that's a great way for you to get started, potentially before you own your own property. Because I do want you all to own property, right? I as real estate guys, I do want you absolutely to own property. It's just that we talk about stocks and crypto and all this stuff because it's really much easier to get started there. Real K Bates, thank you for the fire, my friend. I appreciate you. Is it worth to do real estate as only a side hustle? Manuka Wong, yes and no. So, and I want to get back to Palantir in just a second, but I do want to finish off this real estate stuff. And Trader Pokemaster, Chad, that you're going to share the YouTube with your personal investment group chat. I thank you, my friend. Thank you. I'm glad I'm helping you out. Manuka Wong, yes and no to do it as only a side hustle. I think that for a lot of people, that real estate does not need to be their full-time job. Real estate, I mean, it takes for you to like be in that business of like you see people like flipping houses all day long and going out there. It's really, really hard. Or wholesaling. People talk about wholesaling all day long. It's really hard to make that your full-time job. It's very, very difficult, and a lot of people fail, and there's so much competition out there because everybody out there has watched the YouTube videos. You have the guy, like you're sitting there, you're trying to watch your YouTube video, you're like, I just want to watch it and have some fun, and then all of a sudden some dude comes up, yo, this is me in my Lamborghini, and I just bought this, I just sold like a 5,000 houses today and I made $1 million. Like, they're gonna come up and they're all over YouTube. So everyone's seen those things, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, I can be rich tomorrow from doing real estate as a side hustle. And it is so much more competitive now than it was even 2 or 3 years ago when I started looking into it. And compared to like 10 years ago when a lot of those guys made their big money. And the thing is, a lot of those guys made their big money because they started investing right after the 2008 or 2009 real estate crash, and they've been riding, a big wave all the way up. So like it didn't really matter if you were good or not. As long as you bought real estate, your price would go up, kind of thing. So like that's where I would say that it's not something that you have to get in and like dedicate your entire life to. You're a real estate broker and investor. You're so right, Real Kate Bates. Yeah, there's so much competition. Like literally, okay, listen to this. I don't believe it's Nashville, but I believe Nashville is close, but in Austin, there are only 0.4 real estate brokers have 90% failure rate. More real estate agents than real estate free do. That's what I was about to say. In Austin, there are only 0.4 months of inventory of homes on the market, right? And obviously, these homes are not necessarily your investment homes, but what that means is that if we were to not put any new homes on the market, a month's supply of homes on the market. If we were not to put any new homes on the market, Austin would sell completely out of all of its houses in like 2 weeks. Literally 0.4 months. Atlanta's at like 1.5 months. Nashville's at like 1 month. There are literally more realtors in Austin than there are actually houses for sale. Okay, competition is fierce. It's on top of the hinge, yeah. In Seattle, 30,000 agents and 10,000 of listed properties. Yeah, it's crazy, guys. It's crazy. So, and in terms of real estate, there, Manuka Wong, thank you. It's hard to get into as your own business. That being said, Manuka Wong, I do want to say you can do it as a side hustle while also focusing on your main job, right? Like, unless you really love it. And I really love the business. That's how I ended up getting into development. Unless you really love it, it's your calling. Like, I want to create spaces for people, and I want to promote affordability, and I want to, reuse underutilized spaces and do adaptive reuse and build cool projects. Like, literally, when I was a kid, I used to want to be a construction worker. Like, I was probably the only the only 6-year-old kid who was in elementary school who said, I want to be a construction worker. Watch too much Bob the Builder. Anyway, unless you really love it, I wouldn't say it should be your full-time job. That being said, you can definitely do it as a side hustle, especially if, you're making money on the side in your main job, right? And then you're learning to invest that money into real estate, and you're buying a rental property, you're buying a fixer-upper. And especially, I would recommend that if you can find a mentor, somebody in your city, someone that you can trust to go into that deal with, partner with them on that deal for their expertise, someone who's done a lot of the properties, and it's like what you're bringing is money and time and energy on the side. You can definitely do very well that way. Because essentially, I bought a real estate rental property in my senior year of college. And so essentially, it was my side hustle, right? Because I had a full-time college career. I was also working another job at the time. And then I was also flipping, renting, renovating this house. So, and I'm about to, within the next couple months, hopefully purchase my second one, right? My second a duplex to live in one side and rent out the other. right? So even though, so I'm developing as a commercial real estate broker, kind of like top level, but for personal investing and flipping homes and stuff, like it is actually really, really hard. And even if I wanted to go all in, I probably wouldn't be able to do it. So I'm trying to pick up one every year, every couple years or so, and go there slowly while also making money on my job on the side. So that's, really what I would recommend to most people, because you don't need to go all in. You don't need to go all in. It's very hard. It's very dangerous there. Someone, and they charge $97 a month for everything. Yeah. So people, Trader Pokemaster, you asked, would $25,000 be better spent on a fixer upper than $25,000 on Fundrise? Out of curiosity, obviously, was in Tampa, now in Jamestown, New York. Nothing but slumlords lurk here. Would never work with them. Trader Pokemaster. Okay, I don't want you. See, don't go in with someone who doesn't share your values. The thing is about investing is that you realize that there's a lot of people out there who are actually uh, want to help people, right? And so like helping people and making money should be aligned. They should be along the same way. And it should not be, as a landlord that you're trying to go out and extort people and grind them to dust and make sure they're really hurting, right? Like if that's the type of business that you're doing, so be it, you live your own life. But, that's what I try to promote. It's like that as you create more value for people, you could also be rewarded like accordingly. Like I don't think there's much wrong with like doing good for people and also making money, right? So you want, when you're looking for those sort of people, you want to be looking at your value. User 26515 says hi. See, when people have the name user, a bunch of numbers, it's like I assume, do you have your own personal profile name and I just can't see it? I'm not sure. Anyway, you asked about, would $25,000 be better spent on a fixer upper rather than in something like Fundrise and crowdfunding? That all depends on the amount of time and energy and what you can buy for 25K. So now for 25K, and if you are using an FHA loan, a low or high leverage loan, 3 to 5% down, you can buy a lot for 25K, right? You can buy a few $100,000 property, and then you'd obviously have to put some money on it and renovate it as well, right? So you would make definitely a lot more money, but I would want you to have experience and have a partner with you who has done it before, because that is what I wish that I had. I went about it. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos. I read a lot of books. I listened to all the podcasts, and I'm like, I'm a smart young man and I'm capable and I can do this by myself. Wrong. I was very wrong. I learned a lot of lessons the hard way that I shouldn't have needed to learn, with contractors ripping me off, with underestimating the value of the home, with the seller ripping me off and lying to me about the square footage. I installed hardwood floors without making sure the heat was adequate and removing the moisture from the crawl space, so I had to tear up the hardwood floors that I installed for $5,000 and rip them up for another $1,000 and then install new flooring for another $4,000. So I lost a lot of money that I didn't need to lose because I had an ego and thought I could do it by myself. The first one, you can't do it by yourself. I really want you to have other people. Your father's master carpenter, as far as the sale size, yes, it would be nice to have a partner. Yeah, it's a difference between knowing how to fix a house and knowing how the investment process works. Those are very different, right? Like, and I believe it's not rocket science to know, like, oh, make a house look pretty, install better cabinet, right? But like, it is a lot of the whole managing the numbers and making sure you have insurance and making sure you have utilities and all these kind of other different things. It's like, how am I locking up? Am I installing a security camera on my property because this would be a vacant property, and make sure no people are coming in? Because like my house too, I was robbed from, I was stolen from. I had a homeless dude break one of my windows and I had to go to court over it, and I didn't get any money back. Whatever. But like literally, if my neighbors didn't see him like literally trying to break the windows to get into my house, I would have been screwed, because they scared him off, because otherwise he would have broken in. Like, what the heck? I don't live there, so he could have been living there for months, stolen my appliances, done whatever. So like, there's a lot of things that you don't think about unless you're looking at it the first time. User 261, you don't know why it comes like that. I'm sorry, my friend. I wish I could say your name for real. Anyway, that's what I'll say about Fundrise. There is that. I'd rather you invest in your own property, but if you don't have the time and experience and to get into it now, put it in a Fundrise, learn about kind of the overall investing experience. It cannot hurt you, right? It couldn't be that bad for you as well, right? Anyway, hey, guess what happened? We ran out of my song right at 11 o'clock. So we did it, family. I think we had one more thing that someone asked me. Oh, uh, yeah. Someone asked about Palantir. Christiane, if you're still here and you want to know about Palantir, I will say Palantir very quickly. Palantir is a growth stock. It's a tech company that is looking at a lot of data, right? Kathy Wood bought a lot of Palantir. They're looking at big data, and they do a lot of things with both trying to, the Facebook kind of Cambridge Analytica type stuff about tracking your user data and scraping that, all that kind of stuff. They also do, they look at, climate change data and all that kind of stuff. So Palantir, obviously, big data services company. They're going to be big into the future. Kathy Wood's buying a lot of them. I would say that we've had a lot of downward pressure on them because they've had a couple things happen where they've had a lot of the stock shares come up that were originally available only to their initial investors, and the schedule released so that there was a lot of supply into the market and a lot of people sold off, and there's a lot of tension and political kind of dislike against Palantir because you have people like George Soros, who's a big liberal guy, who's sold out of a lot of his Palantir stocks because he was worried about the big data stuff, and then, and a lot of people on the left and a lot of people on the right, to be fair, do not like the big data, Facebook, like tracking you everywhere kind of stuff. So you have some political headwinds against a company like Palantir that make it, I think, a little bit more dangerous for the long term. But obviously, Kathy Wood is buying into, so it may or may not be a good company for you to buy if you really want to follow Kathy to the end of the earth. So that's my very quick explanation on Palantir. So I did it. I said that I would talk about it. I've gone over it more in depth before, but that is a very quick, quick explanation. Thank you again. Appreciate you, cutie cute. I appreciate you, my friend. User 2261. Do you need to have a 700 credit score to get an FHA loan, and your name is Ruth? User 261. I believe it's 680. Don't quote me on that, and it's different between each lender, but I think you could qualify for an FHA loan. Okay, friends, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ruby, thank you for the fire. Cutie Cute, appreciate you. Upriver Studios, what was it? Elizabeth, thank you. Elizabeth, Ruby, thank you. And Chad, thank you. 640, Real K Bates, thank you. Real K Bates. See, realtors in the chat. Hey, we got him. So hopefully this helped you guys. In case you came in late, I post all of these YouTubes and all these recordings. Farm Whitefish, nice to see you. I'm glad you were here. All these recordings are posted to my YouTube channel, which is linked in my bio. Ruby, you're gonna make me cry more, as always. Thank you so much. The link is in my bio at Gen Z Rebuilds. In case you ever miss one of these lives, you want to hear me ramble on about numbers and money and real estate and cryptocurrency and all this different kind of stuff. You can check me out on my YouTube channel. I'm posting these recordings daily. So if you want to check me out there, in case you can't miss it, if you have to pop in and out, that's the best way to check me out. I've been saying this all day long. Real K Bates, thank you for the for the heart. So I've been saying this all day long. I'm going to start making my TikTok videos again, like my little short form ones. I took literally a month off because I needed it for my job, because we have been doing a lot of stuff. But I'm getting back in the groove, so when I start to do, please leave me likes and comments and all that kind of stuff. It would be very appreciated, and I thank you guys so much for sticking around and giving me all the support and all the love. It really means a lot to me, especially to know that I'm providing good value for you guys. Jason Rod, thanks you a lot, my man. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you guys, and as always, be safe. We will see you tomorrow between 9 to 11 Central Time, and I will see you all